We are still back at leadership. Today we come to actually the most important topic, which is relationships. Now, many people don't realize how important this is. Okay. Now, number one, why relationships? Because God is a Trinity. Okay. Every other religion, God is basically one person. We have three persons in one God. Now, that's very hard to figure out, but it's very important. Because we must understand from eternity, long before we existed, long before the world existed, eternity, what was happening between the three persons of the Holy Trinity? Relationships. The eternal thing was relationships between the three persons. So God is a God of relationships. Now, a lonely God who is all by himself, a monotheistic God, is a very lonely guy. Relationships don't matter to him. There's nobody to relate to. He's up there by himself. Okay, so for us, God is relational, the three persons of the Godhead. Jesus Christ came to this world, lived among men. He was born into a regular family, right? He worked with men. He ministered with men, all right? What is that? He lived among men, relationships, wherever he went. People followed him. Crowds followed him. Lepers followed him. Children followed him, all right? In other words, everybody flocked to him. He's not someone they feared. Wow, this miracle maker, stay from him. He's too powerful. No. People came around him. And then the Holy Spirit lives in us. Jesus lived among us. The Holy Spirit lives in us. How more relational can you get, all right? How much closer can you get to anyone than to live in him, all right? So Christianity, the God we know, is a very relational God. You know, when Jesus was asked, what is the great commandment? He said, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, mind, and strength, thy neighbor as thyself. Basically, relationships with God, relationships with man, and relationship with God's creation. Okay? So basically, our number one need is relationships with God, man, and creation. That's the word shalom. You know, we say the word shalom, peace. What is peace? We think, what? Peace. No. Peace is peace with God, peace with our fellow men, peace with God's creation. That's shalom. That's a perfect relational word we could use. Okay? So when we have to summarize Christianity, I'm not talking about leadership, but just if you have to summarize Christianity, one word, what do you think that word would be? Okay? If I say, summarize Christianity in one word, is it God? No, it's relationships. Because Christ came to give us a relationship with God. We broke that relationship. Adam broke that relationship by sin. So Christ came to restore relationships. So what is Christianity? Relationships. So what is the most important thing in leadership? What is the most important thing in leadership is relationships. Okay? So when people talk about leadership, you say, what is the number one skill in leadership? All right, I can just say it very simply. It is cultivating people skills, right? It's a vital skill of leadership is cultivating people skills. Okay, so now many of us go into, like, you train in Bible school, you learn how to preach, you learn homiletics, you learn Bible survey, you learn New Testament and all this stuff. All right, how much leadership did you learn? All right, you say, oh, I learned something about church administration, I learned all that. No. How much time was given to teach you people skills? Now, I think in most Bible schools, there was very little of people skills in it, all right? So I hope today you will develop some important people skills, okay? Because if you don't have this, you could never, ever be a really successful leader. Now, you could be a leader in a very structured organization, okay? Even if you don't have people skills, if you are in the commandos, in the military, you could. Because you say jump, jump, sit, sit. I don't need to cultivate people skills. I just shout the command, you do. In the school, pretty much the same. The teacher tells you to do it, you better do, or you lose, you fail your exam, you don't get promoted. I'm sorry, in the church, if you don't have people skills, how are you going to lead? Tell me, right? Because everybody there is there voluntarily. Everybody is there not because they have to, because they choose to. If they don't like you, they don't come. They don't like you, they don't obey you, right? It's as simple as that, okay? So for a church leader, the whole world has a shortage of people skills, the whole world, right? Every nation is looking for the right leader. Every army is looking for the right leader. Every school is looking, every hospital is looking for the right leader, right? But I tell you where the need is the greatest is the church, because the church, you really need leadership skills. Otherwise, nothing is done. Okay, you could be a terrible leader and in a hospital, and you could command the nurses to obey, and most people who just professionally would just obey you. Okay, so number one today, let's learn 4 truths. Okay, about I'm trying to get a problem with my slides. Let me just give me a minute. Okay, there are 4 truths about. Little problem, technical problem. My slides, I think it's jammed somewhere. Okay, 4 truths about people. Number one, people are the most precious in the church, okay? You have to see that it's not your building, it's not your amazing church program, it's not all your amazing choir and Sunday school or whatever you have. People, all right? To me, a born-again man is the most amazing potential in the world because he has got the Holy Spirit living in him. He has, simply put, unlimited potential, okay? So look at number one. People are church's most appreciable asset. In other words, we never tap the full potential of our people because what is their potential? Unlimited. Why? Made in the image of God and indwelt by the Spirit of God. All right. So if you ask me what is my assessment, I would say the average Christian probably is tapped between 1 to 5% of his potential in the church. Maybe in a company, in certain skills, he's tapped 50%, 80% of his skills. All right. But in the church, barely 1 to 5%. People are hardly ever seen as a potential to be appreciated, to be maximized. Okay. So people, if you know how to deal with people, you can get so much more, all right, out of people to serve God, to love God, right? To love others. Okay, so people are the church's most appreciated. Your building, how much can you enlarge it? Your church and lot, you can double your building size, triple your building size. But a person, if you know how people work and you know how to maximize this person, you could make him 100 times more useful for God and useful for others. All right. So number one. Number two, a leader's most important asset is people skills. Right. And I've gone around to ask about the Bible curriculum of most Bible schools, or not most, many Bible schools. And almost all of them, when you ask them, okay, what are your modules on leadership? They will look at you and say, oh, we do a bit of church management, we do church. No, I ask you about leadership. And then, it's like a blank. I'm talking about top class Bible schools. Right? I'm talking about cutting edge Bible schools. This is like leadership. We don't have it. No, okay, then if you don't have leadership, what about people skills? And they will say, no, we just, they learn on the job. They watch others. No. This is something too important to leave it just as something I hope you'll pick up along the way, right? I hope ad hoc somehow you will learn some people skills. No, it's not. It's a most important asset, right? Number three, a good leader can lead various groups because leadership is about people. You say, what do you mean by this? Okay. Now, a good leader of a church, okay, he's got skills of running a church. One day he's elected to be the chairman of the association. It's totally run a different way from the church. If he's a good leader, he can run the association because it's about people. His skill is not about what I call it, a competency in a certain method. Church planting, for example, right? Church organizing, church managing. No, his skill is people. So you make him in charge of a big fellowship. He can handle it, no problem, because he knows how to handle people. Now, one day the government asked him, hey, can you run this? Help us on this other program for feeding kids. He said, no problem. Do you know anything about nutrition? No. You know anything about public health? No. Can you lead the program? Yes. Why? Because leadership is about people. It's not about whether you give milk or whether you teach people, whatever. It's just about people. If you know how to handle people, you can be a leader in various groups. You find sometimes a very skilled politician, he's asked, good leader, he's asked to lead the Department of Defense. He knows nothing about defense, zero, but he can lead the Department of Defense. And then when he does a good job there, they said, hey, sir, Mr. Secretary, this other department needs help, right? So it's Department of Public Works. You know anything about public works? No. Are you a civil engineer? No. Can you run it? Yes. Why? Because I know to manage people. Okay, so a good leader can lead various groups. It doesn't matter what it is, because basically leading is about leading people, right? Number 4, you can have people skills and not be a good leader. Some people are very good at people skills and just don't know how to use it for leadership. They just don't use it to make friends, make more girlfriends, more boyfriends, more whatever. But you cannot be a good leader without people skills. Okay, so you can be have a lot of people skills, don't be a leader, but you cannot be a leader without people skills. Okay, so these are just a few things that I hope you understand. Okay, so realize you have not maximized your greatest asset, which is people. You can appreciate a lot more. Okay, so if you know people's skills. Now, the next one we want to see is something very important. The principle of the way you see yourself is the way you serve your people. You said, I'm not quite following you. I don't blame you. Sounds a bit funny, right? But it will help when we hear the story of the Good Samaritan. Okay, so everybody knows the story of the Good Samaritan, even non-believers know it. I'm not going to make you read all those 8 verses here. The parable is, right, about a man going down from Jerusalem, headed back to Jericho. On the way back, he was robbed. Okay, it's a dangerous way, it's a kind of windy way. A lot of robbers there. It was very common. And this robber robbed him, beat him up, and, literally left him almost dead. So he's lying on the floor, and then, of course, people always go up to Jerusalem. Priests go up, Levites will go up, and the story tells us this man's lying on the floor, and a Levite comes by, obviously on the way to Jerusalem to perform his Levite duties, Levitical duties. He just passed by. He acted as if he didn't see this fellow, because if he had seen this fellow, he probably would have to stop and help him, and he might be late for his spiritual duties, because Levites had duties in the temple, right? Then, say he walked right by, and then another priest came, also rushing up to probably his duties in Jerusalem, and he walked on the other way so that he did not have to look at this half-dead guy and have to spend time and get his hands messed up and to help this man. And so he walked on the other side and pretended he did not see. And then the story goes on to tell us a Samaritan. A Samaritan in the time of Jesus was a very despised person. He was someone the Jews looked on as a half-breed. He's not even a Jew, but he claims to be a Jew. He is a compromiser, as we would say. And but this guy that the Jews looked down on saw this Jew there lying on the floor, and the Bible says he took care of him. He took care of his wounds. He carried him to the nearest inn. He told the innkeeper, please take care of this fellow. I will, if he needs more time here, I'll pay you some money, but if his expenses is more than that, when I come back, I will repay you for what you did for this man. All right? So Jesus asked, who is the friend of this wounded man? Okay, so the answer obviously is the friend, the one who really cared, was the Samaritan. Okay, so what is this story about? All right, so we see the way you see yourself is the way you serve your people. Okay, so let's see. There are three people here we want to look at. All right, the first guy was the robber. All right, how did the robber see this man as he was coming down from Jerusalem on the way to Jericho? What did the robber see? He saw, oh, a victim to exploit. Someone weaker than me, I'm stronger than him, I can take advantage of him. I'll take everything I can get out of this guy and leave him alone, leave him for dead. All right? So that's what, the way you see yourself as someone like the robber, taking advantage of people. Now, many of us listening to this podcast or this lesson is going to say, no, Pastor, that's not me. I don't see people as victims to exploit. Just be careful a little bit. Sometimes when we are in a position of power, just like the robber had power over the Samaritan, he had more strength than the Samaritan. He said, I can take advantage of this guy. Sometimes you have more power, you know. Sometimes a very powerful pastor, very charismatic pastor, he can make his congregation do all kinds of things for him. He can take all the money out of their pocket, for example. All right? He can make them literally serve him rather than a pastor, a minister. The word minister is to serve others. But often a pastor makes people serve him. All right? So some big shot pastors are like robbers. They're just like robbers. They see their congregation as victims to exploit, to lift them up, to give them more status, to give them more tithing, to give them more service, whatever. There's a robber mentality in all of us, okay? So sometimes when we see ourselves, we say, you know, some of you may be running some here may be running a children's home. You're in charge of the home. These are orphans. These are poor kids. I can make them polish my shoes. I can tell them to do this for me, run this errand for me, do this for me, do that for me. That's a victim to exploit. The poor kid has no choice, right? So sometimes, even as pastors, even as running a children's home, we could be like that. Some of your policemen, if you're right here, you're an officer, you see younger subordinates in your police, you look at them as, he's got to listen to me. He doesn't have a choice, right? So that mentality is very natural. It's very natural, taking advantage of people. We call it the robber mentality. Now, for most of us listening on this program, we have the second mentality, the priest mentality. Right? We see the man as a problem to avoid. You see, the Levite is rushing up. I got real work to do. I got spiritual duties to do, and this guy's going to hold me back. All right? He might mess up my robes, my white robes. All right? And he might even be an unclean man. He may actually be a sinner. And I'm going to mess up my life. You mean I'm going to spend my money on this sinner? Bring him to the inn? Help a sinner? Oh no, please. I'm a priest. I'm a Levite. Okay? So sometimes as pastors, we look at people. How do we see them? We see them as priests. Hey, I have spiritual duties to do. You want me to do this kind of duty? You want me to dirty my hands? All right? I've got a sermon to prepare, you know. You want me to take care of this person who's threatening suicide? Or she's crazy, man. She's crazy. Oh, leave her alone, you know. Oh, your son is a drug addict and you want me to spend time counseling him? Do you know I have Bible studies to run? Okay. Oh, your mother's dying. You want me to go pray? Hey, I'm late for my cell group, you know. I'm late for my meeting in the church, my business meeting. You know, sometimes we as priests, we see ourselves having to perform rituals, keep ourselves clean from unclean things, dirty people, you know, and we see a man as a problem to avoid. Okay, and that's true. I've seen a lot of pastors having this priest mentality. Then we have the third way, you see yourself as the Samaritan. You saw the man as a person to be loved. Now, the Samaritan had a humble view of himself. See, everybody looked down on the Samaritan. I mean, it's despised. So he had a humble view of himself. He appreciated if someone would care for him, would love him. Okay? So, when he saw a man needing some care and love, he jumped in and helped. Why? Because he saw himself not high and mighty, not strong to rob, not higher than others to want to get dirty. He saw himself as a recipient of love. I wish someone would love me. And now I have a chance to love someone. Okay? So that is how this man, all right, this humbler man could reach out to the victim on the road. Mass of blood. He's going to give a headache to me. He's going to cost me a lot of money and a lot of time, all right? And maybe a lot of headaches, all right? But he's a person to be loved, okay? So how you see yourself? Powerful? Holy? Or sinner saved by grace? Depends, okay? On how you see yourself is how you would probably serve others. Sinners saved by grace. Wow. My life was changed because God loved me so undeserving. All right. Wow. That's the Samaritan's heart. Or, wow, I'm a big guy. I'm a chairman of this. I'm this, you know. These people, who are they? They're pawns. They are things to serve me, right? Or maybe I'm not like that. I'm just like the pastor, very busy about Bible studies, sermon preparation, you know, all the nice religious things. Don't like to dirty my hands with drug addicts, the poor, the messed up, you know. Wow, I want my church to be nice and neat and clean. Let's avoid all those people, all right? So it very much depends on how you serve people, all right? Now, someone asked me the other day, Pastor, how do you serve people? Right? I say it's very simple. You have to value them, all right? If you see people as problems, then you will treat them as problems. Avoid it, okay? Or if you value people, everyone made in the image of God, Christ loved them, Christ died for them, all right, then your view of people will be very, very different. All right, so how do you view? You know something? Every one of us can be any of these three at any time. I'm not saying, oh, some of us are the robber, some of us are the priest. No, at any point of time, we could be any of the three. When our ego is up, we want people to serve us, right? When we feel like, whoa, programs are more important than people, then we be like the priest. Okay? And when we say people are more important than programs, then we may be like the Samaritan. Okay? So at any point of time, we could switch from 1, 2, 3. You know? So don't be so holy and think I'm either 1, 2, or 3. No. The human heart can adjust according to that moment and that sinful, proud heart or selfish heart comes up. Okay? So what is the definition for spiritual leadership? Okay? This one, I've never seen it. I thank John Maxwell for this. What is a spiritual leader? In other words, one who assumes responsibility for the health and development of his relationships. Wow. What is a spiritual leader? One who assumes responsibility for what? To see the program succeed? To see him succeed, himself succeed? No. For the strengthening of relationships with my God, with others, right? So spiritual leadership is all about people, relationships with people, strong relationships with people. When you have strong relationships, you have followers. You can lead them. Why? Because relationships are strong. They will follow you, right? But if your relationship is weak, they will follow you for a while until they can get free, okay? Because there's nothing to relate to you. There's nothing to tie us together, okay? So what is your level of spiritual relationship right now? You ask yourself this question, okay? How am I developing my relationships? Are they getting stronger with my members in the church? Spiritual leadership is not, wow, I can talk better. I've got better public speaking skills. Whoa, all those are less important than how's my relationship with my members? How's my relationship with the community? All right, how's my relationship with the people I minister to in the prison? Okay, all this is your measurement of your level of spiritual leadership, your strength of your relationships. Okay. Now, there are 4 word pictures to help us become good leaders. What do you mean word pictures? Okay. In other words, you say, okay, PC, I want to be a good spiritual leader. I want to build relationships. Right? I want to. But where do I start? Okay. All right. You need to have 4 word pictures in your mind. The first word picture is you are a host. Okay. In other words, you begin a relationship by thinking, first time I'm meeting someone, okay, I must see myself as a host. Can you imagine that? Someone comes to your house, you're the host. What will you do when a man comes to your house and you're the host? You greet him. You open the door. You welcome him. You make him comfortable. You serve him, right? Any culture is like that. Any culture. I don't care which culture you come from, which tribe you come from, all right? When you're the host, right, you take the initiative to greet, open the door, welcome him in, sit on the chair, introduce yourself, In other words, you take the initiative. You're not the guest, you're the host. You're the guest, you just stand at the door waiting for someone to invite you in. You go in. He asks you to sit, you sit, all right? He asks you what drink do you like, you say coffee, all right? You are on the passive side. When you are the host, you are on the active side. So you want to begin a relationship, remember, you're a host. You must be proactive, okay? Now, I watch a lot of pastors in action. I watch a lot of them. I study this, okay? You go to church, the pastor doesn't, even when you come to his church, he doesn't look like the host. He looks like the priest, okay? He's very concerned about his stature, about his position, right? He forgets the number one thing he must do when someone comes is to be the host. Hi, how are you? Welcome. Is this your first time here? We're so glad you're here. Can I help you to settle in? Can I show you around? I've hardly seen one pastor do that in my life, okay? And I've seen thousands of pastors. They have no concept that they begin a relationship by having this picture in their mind, I am a host, okay? So how do you build a relationship when you are passive, you sit there and you shake a hand at the door like little soft limp hand, welcome, welcome, can we all stand and greet each other? It's like, okay, thank you very much. No, when you go to a house, you know what a host is supposed to do. You will be very disappointed if you went to a house and the host didn't welcome you in, greet you, sit you down, ask you what you like, you'll be totally, what kind of house is this? I'm not coming back. No wonder people don't come back to church, all right? Number two, second word picture, analogy of the doctor. You want to build relationships. First, you host them. You reach out to them. Number two, you have become like the doctor. What is a doctor? Doctor has to ask you questions, right? Basically, you go to a pharmacist to get your medicine. You go to a doctor to get your history taken, find out what's wrong with you. Okay, so the doctor's number one job is to ask you questions, right? What's your family history? How many heart attacks in your family? Who died of this? Who's got high blood pressure? All right. Your social history. Do you smoke? Do you drink? Do you blah blah blah. Okay. Your medical history. Then you have a understanding of the patient, right? I was trained by the British doctors when I was a younger doctor, and they always say, "Doc, remember this. Doctors diagnose. Spend all your time getting the right diagnosis. You get it from the family history, social history, medical history, examination, etc. Pry and pry until you get the right diagnosis. Then when it comes to treatment, throw it to the pharmacist. All right? Once you know the right diagnosis, any fool can give the treatment. It's in the book, man. For typhoid, this is the medicine. For malaria, this is the medicine. So many gram per kilogram body weight. That's all. I mean, if you have a simple mind, you could figure out the treatment if you know the diagnosis. But if you don't know the diagnosis, then you give all the way the wrong treatment. Now, many times pastors don't even know, leaders don't even know their people. So often I ask my younger pastors, "Hey, what church is he from?" "I don't know, pastor." "Is he alone in life?" "I don't know." It's like, you talk to him, you don't even ask. Now, how do you know his problems if you don't even know his background? You don't know anything, and then one day he's a problem, you don't even know what to do with this guy. All right? So a lot of times people can be in the church for years, and the pastor and the leader or whatever has no real idea who this guy is other than his name and some superficial thing. Analogy of a doctor. Know the guy. Find out. Hey, it's your first time here. All right, how long have you been a believer? What church are you from? Oh, are you coming alone? What about your family members? When you know all these things, then you begin to build some kind of relationship with the person. Okay, but it's almost like strange. Really, you ask all these things? Of course. And almost always, my young pastors, my deacons, they don't even know where they're from. Okay. Third word picture, analogy of a counselor. Right now, I know this guy, but knowing his background, right? Counselor is not so much asking questions, but active listener. Listen. Now I know you. I know where you're from, what church you're from, when you got saved. I know why you left your old church. I know all these things about you, right? I got what I call basic data. But I don't know really about what's in your heart. I really don't know what you feel about our church. I know what you feel about the cell group you're in, all right? So I need to sit down then like a counselor. Hey, you've been in church for a while. How are your experiences in the church? Are you settling in nicely? Then he'll tell you his problems and say, I really struggle to make friends in the church. Then you say, really? Could you tell me why? Could you tell me what are the difficulties? And then you just slowly, and then he tells you, he starts to complain about something. Complain about some, person was ignoring him, and you say, yeah, that's true. Tell me more. And then, tell me more. And then it comes out. The truth comes out. All right? Okay, that's interesting. Like counselor. All right? Just, if you learn just 2 words, active listening is ready. And then, all right? Because sometimes people feel embarrassed to tell you, too much. They may say, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this. But you want to know. And then tell me more. All right? That's all you need to do. If you've ever been a counselor, you understand it's basically the guy doing the talking and you discovering the deep things in the guy's heart. All right? So that is number 3. If you want to really build relationships, you got to know the guy, and then you got to know his real inner desires, feelings, dreams, complaints, whatever. And then the next is the analogy of a tour guide. Now I know this guy. Now I know his dreams. I know his problems, etc. Now I can direct him. I'm a tour guide now. I can lead him to the right ministry, to the right counselor, to the right Bible study, to the whatever. All right? So now I can lead him to his destination, or even to the right ministry, where he could strive and become an amazing person in your church. Right? So can you see the little picture? If you want to feel strong, develop strong, healthy relationships, start like a host. Then, like a doctor, find out the background. Then, like a counselor, find out the heart desires, the heart fears, or whatever. And then finally, aha! Now I can be a tour guide and guide this man to the right place where he gets help, where he serves, whatever. All right? So I hope that you will learn these things, okay? Please don't go to be a leader in your church and try to be like a priest standing there with your hands clean, not messed up. You know, we are not priests, okay? All right. We are leaders, spiritual leaders. Priests are more concerned about rituals and forms, right? And sacred sacraments rather than wonderful people. All right, a few things you must know about people. Every one of you needs to know. Everybody is by nature insecure in some way or other. Can you be a cell group leader? Oh, I don't know enough about the Bible. You know, can you lead worship? Oh, no, I'm not that good. You know, everybody has some insecurity, you know, and they just need to be given some confidence. Okay? You don't know much about the Bible, don't worry. Apostle Peter also never read the New Testament. He never saw a New Testament. He just knew a little bit, right? But he took a step of faith. He desired to serve God. Whatever episodes he had, he read. He did his best. God will do the rest. You can do it. All right? Oh, you know, I don't know how to lead this worship time in our cell group. Don't worry. All right? This is not a concert. Okay? Give them some confidence. Number 2, people like to feel special. Okay? Everybody likes to feel special. Number 1, know their names. That's what makes each of us special. All right? No 2 people have the same name, I hope. Otherwise, the bank will get confused. Okay? So, names make people feel special, right? And then certain traits make people feel special, right? But making people feel special is by honoring them, knowing their names, right? Knowing something that they're good at, okay? When you want to honor them, all right, be sincere, okay? Don't give a false thing, okay? I stand at the door of my church every Sunday, okay? I probably shake 1,000 hands. Now, what do I do to make 1,000 people feel, no, welcome, 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 good to see you, good to see you, good. That's very boring, right? I mean, it's like, might as well get a robot to do that, okay? A robot can do a better job, probably, okay? But you want to make people feel a little bit special. I see a man walking in and he's smiling. Everybody's smile is 1 inch, his smile is 2 inches. Hey, John, wonderful. You bring a smile to the church. I like your smile. Keep it up, brother. All right? So number 1, it makes him feel special. You honor him in front of others. That's nice. It's sincere because he really was smiling. You don't fake it. All right? And so what happens? He feels, wow, he knows my name. He saw me as a human, not just another hand to shake. He saw my smile. Right? And he said something. So I watched a couple walking the other day. They're holding hands. Normally, when they reach the church lobby, they don't hold hands. This couple was still holding hands. They're not young. I said, wonderful. Good to see you, 2 of you holding hands. I hope you'll keep doing it because it's a sex example for all the couples here. All right? Whoa. It honored them. They feel good about it. Okay? So do that. It makes people, but names are the easiest one. You don't need a very sharp brain and all that. Just remember names. People look for a better tomorrow. Give people hope. Okay? Of course, going to church is always about giving people hope. The gospel is about eternal future, a wonderful eternal future. Okay? But I'm talking about give people hope all the time. You know, people want what we have strength for. Every day we're actually very tired. Most of us will be supremely tired at the end of the day if you have a normal working day. Even your mom, you're very tired. But when you can see a better tomorrow, all right, then you have strength for today. So always tell people, show people like, you know, wow, I'm so glad, you know, you brought your kids to Sunday school. I can see them growing up to be good kids. You know, that's, mom will get up early to bring the kids to Sunday school because I want to see my kids grow up to be good kids. Okay. Wow. Good to see you at Bible study so early in the morning, you know, wonderful. I'm sure when you study the Bible, you will have far more confidence, you know, in your God than before, right? You'll worry less, you know. Oh, okay, better tomorrow. Gives people hope, right? People need to be understood, listen to them, okay? So always listen to people. When we say listen, be careful. Sometimes listening is not with the ears, with the eye, body language. When you say certain things, someone's eyes sparks up. Ha ha! All right, when I talk about, you know, oh, we have a ministry for the widows. Boom! This lady's eye lights up. Aha! She really has a heart for widows. Oh, we have marriage problems, and you know, we are starting a marriage counseling class for everybody. Really, Pastor? Wow! Aha! This person has a passion for marriages. You know, as a leader, you know, you understand them. You understand them, not what is on the outside. What's inside is never expressed. Okay? Wow, listen to them. Watch the signals, what they are excited about, what they talk about, what they dream about, what they laugh about. Okay? Those are the real person. Average person lacks direction. You have to guide them. Okay, I was with a man yesterday. He was 60 years old. He's talking about retirement. So we're going to retire very soon. I'm going to hand over my business. I'm going to retire. I said, great. Wow. This is the beginning of your life. He said, really? Why? I said, do you know the latest medical study says that the most productive age of a man is 60 to 70. And he's a very educated man. He runs a significant business. He said, really? I was planning to slow down. I said, no, that's the best age of your life. So I sent him the study. All right. I said, I'm going to send you the study. The most productive age of your life is 60 to 70. Second is 70 to 80. Third is 50 to 60. He didn't know that. He was going to sit back. I said, what are you going to do? Take care of your fish in the tank? Take care of your dogs? He said, yeah, I just want to take things easy. I said, are you crazy? Right? He lacked direction. I said, the chances are in your health, you're going to live 30 more years. 30 more years of reasonably good health. Maybe the last 2 years of your life is bad. Are you just going to sit down and feed your dogs? And then he looked at me and said, wow, I'm glad I came today for the prayer meeting. Right? You know, this is a man who leads a company. He lacked direction. He didn't know that the real life can begin, right? If you're in good health at 60, okay? You know, the 100 biggest churches in the world, the average age of the pastor is 71, okay? I'm not asking people to stay longer than they should. I purposely left my ministry at 59. I said, before I hit 60, I want to go to something bigger than my four walls of my church, right? 60, my life began, right? Not in these four walls, but in the world, right? So people lack direction. You have to help them navigate, right? So if you can, a leader helps people to see something they didn't know there was a journey out there. People are needy, all right? Speak to their need first. You cannot lead someone to hoping he will do something until you solve his need, right? He may have some problems. He may have a marriage problem, he may have a kid problem at home. He may have a health problem. All right. They're needy. Everybody has some need. Help to fix the need first. All right. And then when the guy, you cannot serve people when you are a needy person. You can serve people, all right, when you are a fit person. So don't forget that people do have needs, and you, unless you're a counselor, you don't realize a lot of needs are below the surface. Many never share their real needs with you. That's why as a pastor, you need to just drink coffee, talk, and how, and then after the 10th, and then the real problem comes up. Pastor, my son's like this. I didn't know. Oh, he's this, gender orientation, he's a homosexual. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Wow, but it doesn't got to come out, hey, Pastor, my son's a homosexual. No, nobody does that. You got to just sit down and realize that under the surface, most people have needs, right? So people get emotionally low, encourage them, all right? Now, basketball team always has advantage on home ground. Why? Because the home crowd cheers them. Okay, even when they're tired, they're going to lose. They're almost going to lose, but the cheering keeps them going. They're down, and how come they're losing? But the cheers keep them going. There's this experiment that when you put your feet in a cold bucket of water, you contest. All right, you put experiment, everybody, cold bucket of water. All right, we all have the same 37 degrees centigrade temperature. Cold water is not comfortable, and then we challenge. Okay, the one that has a cheer team. All right, to say, go on, come on, you can do it. Don't come on yet. Continue. Usually can last twice as long as the guy without the cheer team. Right? So what does that tell us? Most people without a cheer team quit easy. They give up easily. All right? So what does that mean as a leader? Encourage. Okay? Encouragement is one of the best tools of a leader. But many times we don't do that very much. Okay, we just this guy always gives up, so be it, and then we actually pick on their faults rather than encourage them. Number 8 thing you need to know about people: everybody likes to be on a winning team. Right? Everybody likes to be on a winning team. You can only cheer a team so long. Maybe you're loyal to your basketball team, but if they lose 10 times in a row, chances are you switch team after a while. Right? Most people, after 3 seasons, they switch team if their team keeps losing, right? Now, why do people leave a church? They see nothing in this church. Everything seems to be a failure in this church, right? What happens? They leave. Simple as that. Okay? People want to succeed, right? And when you see success, you stay, right? You want to be part of a winning team. Everybody wants to be part of a winning team. Who wants to be part of a dying team? Who wants to be part of a dying church? Okay? And yet there are so many, I don't know why my young people leave. Look at your church, all right? So I hope that even your ministry, why is it nobody wants to serve in this ministry? It's a dying ministry. Okay? People desire relationships, provide community. All right. This is a principle John Maxwell has taught very well. He calls it the 101% principle. He said, what does that mean? It's a very funny principle. When you see one thing we have in common, one thing, put 100% focus on it. What do you mean by that? Okay. I sit with newcomers every week in church. Every week. There are 10 newcomers a week. I sit and have coffee with them. And I always ask them questions. And then they tell me one thing that I can find in common. I was born in this place. That's my neighborhood. Oh, my uncle was born there too. Right? Just one thing. I got nothing else in common with him, except my uncle was born in the same neighborhood as him. That one thing I have in common, I focus 100% attention on it. I talk about it. He talks about it. I talk about it. I say, I used to visit my uncle. There were chickens there. And he said, yeah, there were chickens. I've not been seeing my uncle for a long time. What's it like now? And we talk. And I put 100% attention on that one thing we have in common. And at the end of it, he's my friend, I'm his friend. And actually, we have nothing else in common except my uncle lives in his neighborhood. But he feels bonded to me. All right? Now, you see, Christians do the exact opposite. They find one thing that they differ, one thing, and they focus 100% attention on it. Oh, the church is, they use, this kind of songs. I don't use this song, so we divide. Huh? What? Where did we learn that? All right. Find things in common to build relationships. Because relationships are the beginning of all things. Right? You cannot have leadership. You cannot have any influence on anyone without relationships. Sometimes it's very hard to find something to link us together. When you find it, grab it, all right? And make the most of it. Okay, so John Maxwell calls it the 101% principle. One thing in common, 100% focus on it. I wish pastors would understand this. Not the one thing we have a difference, and we spend 100% of our time talking about the one difference we have, why we cannot fellowship with that guy. All right, lastly, people seek models to follow. Be an example. All right, so basically, if you want to be a leader, you have to know the way, go the way, and show the way. All right, you want people to be friendly in your church? Be a model. You want to be people to be your leaders to be counselors? Be a model. Whatever you want, all right? You have to be a model. Whatever you talk, people are listening, but people will not follow. People will follow, and we do what we see by nature. We forget what we hear. All right? So these are some of the principles, but the key point now, I want you all to go back in your groups, ask yourself, how are your relationships? Why are there some people you just can't build relationships with them? Maybe it's you're looking at them like a priest. Terrible guy. Wow, look at his past. You know? I don't know. But why? All right? Do you struggle with building relationships? Maybe you're not a host. Maybe you think your job is to look like a pastor. No. First time you meet, look like a host. Okay? All right? So all these things I hope you'll go back, discuss, because this is critical. And if you learn to build relationships, right, whether you're a leader or not a leader, you will build a better life, because all of life is about relationships, right? So I hope this is something that is useful. I believe it is. Go back, discuss, go through some of the things said, what hit you, and then ask yourself why I fail to be a leader.